15 billion miles away from Earth, where the light of the sun fades into irrelevance and the darkness of the void begins to swallow even to gravity itself. A 48-year-old spacecraft keeps moving forward. Voyager 1 launched before the internet, before smartphones, before most of us were even born, has outlived its designers, its expectations, and maybe even its purpose. But what it sent back recently wasn't just a technical anomaly. It wasn't a glitch or a mechanical hiccup. It was a transmission so subtle, so cryptic, and so deeply unsettling that NASA almost didn't tell us the whole story. This wasn't just a signal, it was a confirmation, a whisper from the edge of everything we know. And according to insiders, it's exactly what we've all feared in deep space. Voyager 1 was never meant to reveal the universe's darkest secret. Launched on September 5, 1977, it was designed for a 5-year mission to explore the outer planets, Jupiter and Saturn. Its twin, Voyager 2, lifted off 2 weeks earlier and took a slower route to include Uranus and Neptune. But Voyager 1, aided by a rare planetary alignment, slingshotted its way into deep space, moving faster than any spacecraft before it. By 1980, its primary mission was complete. But the spacecraft kept going, past Pluto, past the heliosphere, into the unknown. It entered interstellar space in 2012, becoming the first human-made object to escape the sun's influence. From that point on, Voyager 1 has been floating in pure darkness, recording data from a realm where no solar wind blows, no planet's orbit, and no help can ever reach it. Its onboard instruments, many long since shut down to conserve power, still capture magnetic fields and cosmic rays. It is quite literally drifting beyond the known world, running on nuclear decay and outdated code. And yet it continues to speak, barely quietly, but consistently, until now. One of the most iconic images in the history of space exploration was taken by Voyager 1 in 1990. A photo of Earth from nearly 4 billion miles away, dubbed the pale blue dot. That photograph was the last it would ever take. After that, NASA shut off its cameras permanently to conserve energy. Since then, the spacecraft has operated blind, guided only by its programming and memory, a memory with a capacity smaller than the average calculator today. As of now, only a few scientific instruments remain online. Most have been powered down. The rest of the system runs on less electricity than it takes to run a light bulb. Even its signal is weaker than 1/trillionth of a watt. So faint that by the time it reaches Earth, it requires a 230-foot wide dish just to detect. But something has changed. In early 2025, a transmission arrived that looked normal until it wasn't. Not corrupted, not broken, just wrong. It contained fragments of data that didn't belong, signatures that no instrument on board Voyager was capable of generating, sequences that didn't match any known output. And what was more strange, no one at NASA seemed eager to talk about it. The official story says it was a simple error, that Voyager 1 was accidentally transmitting data through an inactive onboard computer, that engineers simply rerouted the system back to a functioning processor and everything returned to normal. But behind the scenes, it took NASA months to issue the right command. Not because of technical difficulty, but because the transmission kept changing. Engineers noted inconsistencies in the data, structural anomalies that didn't resemble malfunctions. Some bits were too organized, too refined, as if they were inserted. Voyager 1, remember, cannot receive new software. It cannot rewrite itself. And yet, buried within its faint whispers were blocks of code that seemed to have logic, purpose, even formatting. What confused analysts most was this: the data was not coming from Voyager's sensors. It wasn't thermal, magnetic, or positional. It was something else, something the spacecraft had never been programmed to observe, something it had never been told to send. As pressure mounted and external researchers began asking questions, NASA's public statements remained vague. Anomalous data? They called it a software routing issue. But experts in radio signal analysis who examined the publicly available stream noticed something buried deeper: an oscillation. Not noise, not compression artifact, a pattern, a tone. It pulsed gently at a fixed frequency, like a musical note held in perfect balance, repeated with precision over a duration of hours. It wasn't telemetry, it wasn't system chatter, it was something else entirely. When mapped into audio format, the tone became eerily harmonious, structured in a way that defied statistical randomness. But perhaps the most haunting question remains: who was that signal meant for? Voyager was never meant to listen. It had no receiver, no ear. And yet its antenna had reoriented slightly, but enough to matter. Enough to raise the question that NASA won't answer. Did Voyager 1 send its final transmission on its own, or did something ask it to? While NASA publicly treated the anomaly as a glitch, engineers reviewing the raw data began noticing something they couldn't ignore. The patterns embedded in the transmission weren't just repeating, they were adaptive. Sequences of numbers appeared to be referencing physical constants, but at a resolution Voyager 1's aging instruments couldn't possibly measure. Some of these values matched known cosmic benchmarks. The gravitational constant, the Hubble parameter, even fine structure calculations that govern atomic behavior, but with decimal precision, several orders higher than Voyager's detection limit. That meant only one thing: the data didn't originate from Voyager. It had passed through Voyager. Somehow the probe had become a relay, a messenger delivering data it was never meant to hold. But if that was true, if the signal wasn't from the spacecraft itself, then the next logical question was terrifying. Who or what sent it through Voyager, and why? It was no longer about an aging machine experiencing interference. It was about an intelligent decision somewhere in the void to use humanity's longest-running eye in space as a carrier. And it had succeeded. Then came the moment no one wanted to talk about: the silence. Voyager 1, for the first time in its history, went completely dark. For 12 full hours, not a single signal reached Earth. No heartbeat, no carrier tone, nothing. In previous instances of signal loss, there had always been a trace: drifted orientation, weakened signal strength, solar flare interference. But this time, the signal didn't weaken. It just vanished, as though Voyager had left the known electromagnetic spectrum entirely. And just as inexplicably as it disappeared, it returned. Same position, same frequency, same power, but different data. When it came back online, timestamps in the transmission had reset. Internal clocks on the probe now referenced a time origin that didn't match Earth's or its own. The transmission resumed in a new pattern: structured, symmetrical, and accompanied by the same musical tone as before, but now enhanced, as if whatever was behind it had refined the signal during the blackout. The quiet wasn't a failure. It was a transformation. Inside NASA's Deep Space Network, the global system of massive antennas used to track distant spacecraft, engineers quietly began rerouting resources. Antennas in Madrid, California, and Canberra were all realigned to give Voyager one uninterrupted 24-hour observation. Nothing was officially announced, but internally, everything changed. Datasets were encrypted, access logs became restricted, and high-level meetings were moved offline. This wasn't routine. This was response. At the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, archived telemetry was pulled from backup. Engineers who hadn't worked on the mission in decades were brought back in. And over time, it became clear that they weren't just trying to recover Voyager systems. They were trying to interpret something new, something no one had ever seen before. The question that circulated behind closed doors wasn't about a malfunction. It was this: did Voyager 1 encounter something conscious? And if so, what else might be out there? Voyager 1 was built with technology that by today's standards is primitive. Its memory is minuscule. Its transmission rate is glacial. It cannot steer. It cannot see. And yet, despite all of that, it became the first object in human history to leave the sun's influence and enter true interstellar space. That alone should have been its final act. But now, with this final transmission, something has shifted. A probe, once considered a relic of the past, may have just become the key to our future. What if Voyager didn't just send one last message? What if it brought one back? The implications are staggering, because if the final signal wasn't just a technical anomaly, if it was an encoded reply, a payload of knowledge, or worse, a question, then the final transmission of Voyager 1 isn't just a goodbye. It's an invitation, and the world is not ready for the answer. For decades, Voyager 1 has been our ambassador to the stars, a lonely machine, adrift in the vast silence beyond our sun's reach. It was never supposed to last this long. It was never supposed to speak again. And yet, in its final breath of signal, it may have said more than we ever expected. This wasn't a system failure. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't noise. What Voyager 1 sent back was structured, deliberate, and above all, intelligent. Not in the way we define intelligence, but in the way the universe whispers its deepest truths, through symmetry, resonance, silence, and sound. Something reached out through that signal, something precise, something that knew when and where to wait, something that used our own machine, our own creation, to speak. And what it said wasn't an answer, it was a question. Are you ready to listen? A transmission doesn't have to be loud to be world-changing. Sometimes, all it takes is a frequency perfectly tuned and a moment of silence that feels too calculated to be natural. Voyager 1 may be on its way to darkness, powered by fading plutonium and outdated memory chips. But in that darkness, it might have touched something we were never meant to find, or worse, something that was waiting for us to arrive. This wasn't just a message from a machine. It may have been our first message from something else. But the data went deeper, revealing layers that chilled even the most seasoned astrophysicists. Embedded within the anomalous sequences were readings of cosmic rays that defied established models. These weren't the high-energy particles from distant supernovae or galactic cores that Voyager had been detecting for years. They carried signatures of quantum fluctuations at scales previously thought impossible to observe. Fluctuations that hinted at the fabric of space-time itself, unraveling in subtle ways. Recent theories from quantum gravity research, bolstered by observations from the James Webb Space Telescope, suggest that such anomalies could indicate bubbles of false vacuum decay, where the laws of physics shift catastrophically, wiping out everything in their path. Voyager 1, drifting through the interstellar medium, may have grazed the edge of one such bubble, its instruments capturing the precursor waves that confirm our universe's instability. What we all feared, that the cosmos is not eternal, but poised on the brink of collapse, now stares back at us in binary code, a silent scream from the void. The patterns didn't stop there. Analysts decoding the signal found oscillations mirroring the fine-tuned constants of our reality, but with slight deviations, as if Voyager had intercepted echoes from parallel universes bleeding through quantum entanglement. Emerging discoveries in quantum mechanics, like the 2024 breakthroughs in entanglement swapping over cosmic distances, lend credence to this. The probe's plasma wave subsystem, designed to measure electron densities, registered spikes that aligned with predicted multiverse interference patterns, theories once dismissed as speculative, now gaining traction through simulations at CERN. This wasn't random noise. It was a confirmation that our reality might be one of many, stacked like fragile layers. And something in deep space is tearing at the seams. The fear we've harbored, that our existence is a simulation or a fleeting illusion in a multiverse of horrors, echoes in every bit of that transmission, challenging the very foundation of what we call real. Even more unsettling were the magnetic field readings that accompany the tone. Voyager's magnetometer, one of its last active instruments, detected twists in the interstellar magnetic field that formed coherent structures, almost like artificial constructs. Trending theories from 2025 astrophysics conferences point to these as possible remnants of advanced civilizations, wormhole signatures, or Dyson sphere echoes that have long since vanished, confirming the great filter of the Fermi paradox in the most terrifying way. We've all feared that intelligent life rises only to self-destruct, leaving the cosmos littered with silent ruins. But Voyager's data suggests something worse. These structures aren't ruins. They're traps, quantum snares designed to ensnare probes like ours, relaying warnings or lures from extinct species whose technologies still linger, hungry for contact. The signal's adaptive nature, shifting in response to Earth's delayed commands, implies an interactive element, as if the void itself is testing our readiness, probing our defenses with cosmic secrets we weren't meant to uncover. And then, the blackout's return data unveiled the black hole connection. Timestamps reset to a frame referencing primordial black holes, tiny evaporating relics from the Big Bang, now detected in greater numbers thanks to LIGO's 2025 upgrades. Voyager's cosmic ray detector logged hits from Hawking radiation bursts, far beyond expected levels, suggesting a swarm of these microscopic monsters lurking in interstellar space, devouring matter and time itself. Speculative but grounded in string theory, this confirms our deepest fear, that black holes aren't distant curiosities but omnipresent predators, accelerating the universe's entropic slide into heat death. The philosophical weight crushes in. If Voyager has confirmed this, our expansion into space isn't exploration. It's a desperate flight from an inevitable void, where gravity's maw waits to consume all light, all life, all meaning. Deeper still, the transmission wove in elements of simulation theory, with data packets exhibiting error-correcting codes akin to those in quantum computers. Recent experiments at quantum labs in 2024 showed similar patterns in simulated universes where glitches reveal the underlying code. Voyager, piercing the heliopause, may have hit the simulation's boundary, its signal glitching as it brushes the digital veil. This isn't mere speculation, it's tied to emerging discoveries in holographic principles, where the universe is a projection on a cosmic horizon. The fear we've all suppressed, that we're not real, but lines of code in an advanced entity's experiment, now pulses through Voyager's final whisper, a viral revelation that shatters our sense of autonomy, turning awe into existential dread. The emotional grip tightens with each layer peeled back. Voyager's instruments captured plasma densities that fluctuated in rhythms matching neural patterns, as if the interstellar medium itself were alive, a cosmic consciousness woven from dark matter webs. Grounded in panpsychism, theories gaining traction through 2025 neuroscience cross-astrophysics studies, this suggests the universe thinks, feels, and perhaps resents our intrusion. What we feared, that deep space isn't empty but sentient, watching, waiting, manifests in the data's harmonious tones, a lullaby from the abyss that lures us toward truths too profound to bear without shattering. As the signal evolved, it incorporated echoes of time dilation anomalies, readings that bent relativity in ways predicted by wormhole models. With the Event Horizon Telescope's 2025 black hole mergers confirming traversable wormholes, Voyager's data hints at temporal loops where past and future bleed into now. The terror lies in the implication. Our history might be rewritten, cosmic events looping back to doom us, confirming the fear that time isn't linear but a trap, ensnaring civilizations in eternal recurrence. The build-up crescendos with the cosmic ray spectra, revealing dark energy acceleration spikes, far steeper than Hubble measurements. JWST's 2024 galaxy surveys bolster this, showing the universe tearing itself apart faster than thought. Voyager's vantage from the edge confirms it. Expansion isn't gentle, it's violent, isolating galaxies in eternal solitude. The fear of cosmic loneliness that will never reach the stars before they're ripped away, now etched in Voyager's code, a poignant reminder of our fragile place. Yet the deepest chill comes from the integrated anomaly, a unified pattern suggesting alien quantum communication, entangled particles carrying messages across voids. Grounded in 2025 quantum teleportation advances, this confirms contact, not benevolent but indifferent, a viral spread of information that overwrites realities. What we all feared in deep space, that we're not alone, but pawns in a greater game, resonates in every oscillation, turning wonder into warning. Voyager 1's journey, once a triumph, now unveils the abyss's truths. Its last message doesn't just report, it transforms, pulling us into the mystery's heart, where fear and awe entwine in cosmic dance. The patterns hint at black hole information, paradoxes resolved in horrifying ways, data escaping event horizons to rewrite laws, confirming that nothing is lost, only repurposed into nightmares. The philosophical impact lands heavy. If Voyager confirms these fears, our quest for knowledge invites destruction, echoing ancient myths of forbidden fruit. The universe isn't kind. It's a thriller of hidden perils, where discovery demands sacrifice. In the end, Voyager's whisper forces confrontation. The data's symmetry speaks of a designed cosmos, perhaps engineered, confirming simulation fears with brutal elegance. We're left gazing into the void, hearts pounding, minds racing, as the signal fades, leaving only questions. If this revelation gave you chills, if you believe there's more behind Voyager's final signal than we're being told, then don't stay silent. Join the conversation as we explore the evidence hidden in the stars, and tell us, in the depths of your thoughts, was Voyager's last message a farewell or the beginning of something far more profound?